Hi, ladies. Welcome to Journey Down Deep. This is brought to you by Peace Theory Consulting. My name is Jessica Bellinger, and I will be your enthusiastic presenter throughout the entire course. And I am super excited to get a chance to walk you through all of the principles for Journey Down Deep. So let's get started. Hi, my name is Jessica Bellinger, and welcome to your Principle 1 Realize Your Worth of the Journey Down Deep course. So today we are going to be going through two different topics under the principle of realize your worth. Our first topic is going to be personal faithfulness, and our second topic is going to be self-worth. So before we get started, what I would like for you to do is to go through your templates, and I want you to pull out the self-worth assessment. We will be discussing this towards the end of the video, and I want to make sure that you are prepared ahead of time and have what you need available. So for the concept of personal faithfulness, what I first want you to understand is personal faithfulness comes into play when it is time for us to be faithful to the standards and expectations and the goals and the dreams that we have for ourselves. We are the ones who are deciding what, when, and how we will be faithful to the commitments in our lives. We are the ones who are getting up every morning to go to work. We are the ones who are getting up every morning and deciding that we are going to apply faithfulness into our relationships. But faithfulness is not for an external item, it is for ourselves. So, this understanding of faithfulness is paramount in the continuation of your journey where you are going to start to put yourself first. You're going to start to apply expectations and standards to your life, and you have to faithfully adhere to those expectations and standards. When you do this, your life will take a turn because you are putting yourself first. So now that we have covered personal faithfulness and we understand that that is something that we have to apply to the things in our life, it makes it easy for us to step into our next topic of self-worth. When we really perceive the concept of self-worth, it is the worth and value that one person places on themselves. You can have levels of self-worth and you can have different levels of self-worth depending on what you are viewing yourself through. There are times when you may think that your self-worth is very low based on maybe you're learning something new, or you have had a recent failure, or you are maybe in a grief cycle. And there's times when you can definitely rate yourself high in self-worth. Maybe you have achieved your next goal, you have gotten your degree, you have gotten a new car or a new job. So our self-worth really fluctuates as we go through life. But the key point to understand when it comes to self-worth is that when we are growing up, when we are developing at those very young ages, our self-worth is not truly determined by self. How we feel about ourselves is developed based on how we are treated by others around us. So our self-worth is almost a secondary vision of ourselves based on our parents, our teachers, our coaches, our family, early jobs, bosses, etc. So there is a lot of external that goes into creating your self-worth. And starting today, since you are going through the Journey Down Deep course, we are going to start to revamp your mindset in regards to your self-worth. Because whatever has been determined up until this point can be changed, redeveloped, or heightened. What I want you to understand when it comes to the concept of self-worth from this point forward as you go about your journey is that your self-worth is now 100% in your control. You determine your worth. And since you determine your worth, it is on you to ensure that your self-worth is built, maintained to a level to where you will not allow for other external factors, other people, or circumstances to affect how you believe in and feel about yourself. I call this inventing yourself. It is time for you to step up, embrace your shine, and to start today in determining who you are, what you are capable of, and where you want to go. Once you understand this, your life will start to even out because there will be no longer up and down fluctuations on everything that's going on in regards to your self-worth, because you will be in control and in alignment with the invention of who you are and what you want to become. So now that we have covered the topics of personal faithfulness and self-worth, and we have the understanding that both of these are applied to us or determined by us for ourselves, now I would like for you all to grab your self-worth assessment, and we are going to walk through the questions on this assessment, and I'm going to explain some things in a little bit more depth so that when you fill this out, you will be able to fill it out, and it will start to open your eyes to the opportunities that are around you to first assist you in creating a higher level of self-worth, but also to assist you in understanding where your personal faithfulness truly needs to be applied and why. So now that we have our self-worth assessment, we are going to read through all of the information on here and discuss it in just small bite-sized chunks. First off, let's start with the introduction. So self-worth is determined as the sense of one's own value or worth as a person. This assessment will help you to define your self-worth. You will see that it also has an initial assessment date, because when you start this, I want you to go ahead and date this, because as you go on through your journey, you will be coming back to these same templates and resources as you continue to fill them out, because I do recommend that once you get started filling these out, you come back periodically and redo them so that you can evaluate your growth in all of the different areas. So number one on our self-worth assessment says that the treatment we receive from others mirror the treatment we are showing ourselves. And we understand this in theory, but we don't look at it in practical application sometimes. If we are not being treated in a way that we appreciate, then we first have to understand that we have allowed this treatment. Therefore, it is on us to make the change to get that better treatment. So question number one says, are you treating yourself properly? Question number two says, are you allowing others to control or take advantage of you? And our third question is, are you allowing baggage from the past to affect your current reality? Now, when we look at this section, it takes us all around the understanding of we are in control. But there are times that we give up our control for someone else. We allow other things or other people to become the primary focus instead of that focus being on ourselves. And when we do that, it takes some of our control. It takes away our wants and needs, and it puts someone else in the driver's seat of our life. So in order to change this, we have to turn that focus back to ourselves. So if we are allowing these things, and we know we have become aware, and now it is time for us to make the necessary changes to stop this negative allowance of behavior and move in the positive direction of behaviors. Section number two covers personal faithfulness. So personal faithfulness teaches us that we make and have made all the decisions that affect our lives. We make the decisions in our lives. And whether those decisions have taken us to a wonderful place, or if they have taken us to not so wonderful of a place, we can take a look at this, and then we can make a directional adjustment and move into the direction that we know we want to go. So our first section in this says, are you constantly making decisions that don't serve your higher goals? If your higher goal is to start school and you're constantly making the excuse or you're making the decision not to start this semester, then we're not making choices that are in alignment with our higher goals. The second one says, are bad habits preventing your progress? Now, we all have some type of bad habits. You may smoke, you may not exercise as you should, you may cuss as I do sometimes. So, we all have bad habits that we need to work on. But this is allowing us to be able to identify those habits so that we can start rectifying and putting in corrective behaviors. Our next one is, are you allowing fear of the unknown to stop you from moving forward? We're all going to move into the future. And that future can either be a future that we have decided to consciously create based on actions that were taken in the present, or it can be a hypnotic rhythm drift into the future that just takes us forward, but it doesn't grow us into who we want to be. It doesn't create that future that we want to create. Our third section talks about the past. So it says, the past has a place, and that is behind you. You cannot move forward while looking back. We all understand this. If we are driving in a car and we have our eye only on the rearview mirror, believe me, you're not going to make very successful progress forward. You're going to be all over the road and possibly get into an accident. But if you are driving and you are focused on the road in front of you, you are moving ahead. And that is how we have to look at our life also. We cannot spend our entire life focused on what happened in the past. We have to learn from those experiences. We have to make better decisions. And then we have to put foot in front of the other to move forward. But our focus needs to be in the present, the now and the today, so that we can really impact the future, which is where we want to go. So our first question in this one is, what lessons have I learned from prior mistakes? As we are looking back to learn from our past, we want to take a look and see, where have we made mistakes and what lessons did we learn from those mistakes that can move us forward in the future. We also want to take a look at our successes and what lessons we learned from those, because we can also move forward from those. However, I have learned that it is the mistakes in life that teach us so much more, because the successes we celebrate and the mistakes we seem to dwell on. Our second question is where you are now in a better place than where you were before? When we don't acknowledge the success of getting into a better place, we can get trapped in the thought that the past will never let us go. And it will, because we are going to now start to take a look at where we are and to accept it and to praise the fact that we have moved forward and we have learned valuable lessons that have brought us to a much better place. Here on the quote, in order to be better than you are now, you must begin to do better now. Created this quote because I really wanted myself to stay focused on the fact that if I'm going to impact the future, I must first become that in the present. If I want to be a powerhouse employee in the future, I must first start the process now in the present. You cannot become what you are not willing to be. So our first section on this talks about, can you identify areas in your life that you want to improve in? We can all probably find many areas that we want to improve in, but we want to take this and really think in essence of development for the future. We really want to think of this in regards to development for the future. Number 2 says, what is your long-term goal for development? Where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? What do you see yourself succeeding in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 5 years? The next question is, what goals have you been afraid to go after? What is it that you have been afraid to go after? And not only what is it, but why have you been afraid to achieve it? What I am going to say is that at least one area that you will see as you go through and determine what has made you afraid is the fact that you have at some point thought you were unworthy of being able to achieve this. For your own divine creation that is worthy of whatever it is that you want to achieve. And you have to believe that. And that will start to build that self-worth, and that fear will start to decrease because your confidence within yourself and your abilities to achieve will start to grow. Our next question is there an area where you can set some positive habits for yourself? So we all have habits. We all have good habits and we have bad habits. But when it comes to reaching our future and to begin to develop within the present to achieve for the future, where are some positive habits that you can begin to create for yourself that will assist you in the future? Our last section in this is a quote that I want you to ponder on. So the quote is, "It is not the victory that makes us continue on the journey, but it is the small successes that feed us along the way." So I want you to ponder on this quote, and that is actually the first question. What does the above quote mean to you? And I want you to write down that answer after you look at it. And once you have the answer to this, it will help you start to really open up, and it will spark something within you where you will start to see that it's not about the destination or the achievement of the goal. It is about the journey of growth that gets us there. The next one is I want you to identify 5 successes in your life that have kept you moving forward and towards a higher goal. Yes, 5 successes. And our last question is, what are your expectations for the next year of your life? I want you to start now in the present and start determining where you want to go in the future. What do you want to achieve for yourself? Once you start making these decisions, then it is much easier for you to decide where your loyalties need to lie in the present so that you can achieve the future that you have set for yourself. So we have covered the topics of personal faithfulness. We have a concrete understanding that faithfulness is a concept that we apply to ourselves towards the expectations that we have for our life, the standards that we have for our life, and we apply these to things that we do in order to take us to where we want to go. We covered the topic of self-worth, and we understand that self-worth is initially in part determined by the external forces around us, our jobs, our parents, our teachers, our past experiences. But self-worth is truly your own thought of the value that you have on yourself. And we know now how to start today and understand how to improve our self-worth. We also talked through the self-worth assessment. And this, ladies, is your homework. So what I want you to do before you go on to your Principle 2 video is to complete the self-worth assessment. Once you complete this assessment, it will help you throughout the rest of the course in determining where we want to go as we start to put focus on ourselves, as we start to improve the present, and as we start to embrace our shine as we move through the additional 3 principles of Journey Down Deep. So thank you so much for watching video 1, Realize Your Worth. And we are now going to move into Principle 2, Focus on You.